The Cabinet's decision to accept the proposal for one nation, one election has massive implications across the country, particularly if it does go through in Parliament. It may not be a very easy journey, but the government hopes that it does have the numbers. It'll be profound in terms of our electoral process. Joining us now for his views on this, the former Attorney General of India, Mukul Rohatgi. Thanks so very much for being with us. I'm just trying to understand the process. Is it true that this will require at least 5 constitutional amendments? And if so, would that necessarily make it more difficult to pass?
See, Vishnu, according to me, this is a giant step forward. And I'm sure you will agree that it takes a lot of courage to make a statement like that, which the Prime Minister did, and then followed it up by appointment of a commission, a high-powered commission, which has made some recommendations today. Historically, our country and its different constituents are in a constant state of elections, whether it be state, whether it be center, whether it is panchayat, whether it is Zilla Parishad, whether it is municipalities, whether it's wards, whether it is cooperative, big cooperatives. I mean, the list is endless. So people, it's now a full-time profession to just participate in elections and preparations thereof. Politicians are supposed to work for the benefit of the public. Ministers are supposed to work. I mean, if they are constantly in a state of an election mode, which is only unique to this country, then obviously issue of public affairs and public benefits will suffer. But as you rightly pointed out, it will require several constitutional amendments to synchronize and bring in line elections of the states and the center as the first step. Thereafter, Zilla Parishads and Panchayats, and thereafter, if I may dare say so, including corporations and big elections, etc. But the idea is superb that one day, by and large, one day the country goes to polls. I mean, you will have some spin-offs. Somebody dies, somebody resigns, there's a hung house, there is some dismissal of a government, all that will happen. But the bulk will be carried on in one day. It's a great idea, but yes, it will have a rough passage because today opposition has got more numbers than it had before. And as you know, in our country, by and large, nothing goes hand in hand. If one proposes, the other opposes. That's the kind of politics we have. Therefore, it will have some kind of a rough
So let me ask you this, sir. The opposition or some of the opposition parties say that having elections together means that there cannot be a diverse range of views among political parties or voters. For example, if a particular party or an alliance is doing well, perhaps at the national level, if you have elections together, then it could be that alliance which comes to power in the state as well. Whereas if there is a gap of time between the two, people can actually make up their minds about who they want in power. How would you look at that?
No, but see, Vishnu, you always have naysayers. You always have doubting Thomases. This will happen, that will happen. I mean, we have had this for 75 years. And have we not seen what I am saying? A country in a perpetual state of politics? I mean, look at the burden. The burden is on the exchequer. We are bearing the burden. It's not somebody else bearing the burden. The public is bearing the burden of having elections every day, every week, every month, every 6 months. Why should we not have a relook? Why should we not have a whiff of fresh air? Let's see how it works. I mean, we should not start everything on a negative note. The public in this country, let me tell you, is very, very politically sensitized. Results continue to amaze me and amaze the public, how they have come. Contrary to, I mean, you can start from 1975, 1977. Contrary to normal belief, the electorate has given a firm and a decisive vote in various sectors and various eventualities. So let's start off.
Okay.
Why should we have only naysayers? That's the way I look at it.
So, one final question. What if there is an untimely sort of dissolution of a state assembly? Could there be potential instability in that situation?
No, but see, I told you, Vishnu, in my opening remark, there will be some hiccups. Every eventuality cannot be decided at one go. As I said, some member may die, some may resign, some may cross over. Things like things like that will happen. There'll be a hung house. All that will happen. But as I said, the bulk, the elephant will go through, only the tail will remain. And that can be, ironed out. I don't think it's so great an issue that we should look at only those small spin-offs here and there. We should look at it gung-ho, move forward.
I would say, in my mind, sir, perhaps the biggest advantage, apart from the cost factor, is policy paralysis, which takes place when governments go into election mode. Nothing happens in our country, whether it's at the level of the state or at the level of the center. So to get over with the election process and get into the business of running a country or a state, that's the priority. That's why we have elections. I think that's the biggest advantage.
Now, one more thing, Vishnu. Look at the impact on courts. I mean, since I'm a lawyer, I'm telling you. Every other day in the high courts, in the district courts, in the high courts and the Supreme Court, we are constantly doing election disputes. Whether of MLAs or MPs who are disqualified, whether they are not disqualified, whether parties are merged together, whether it's a case of, disqualification, defection. I mean, I'm doing large number of these cases even currently. I mean, if you know the scenario in Mumbai, you have the Pawar group, you have the Ajit Pawar group, you have this group, you have that group, constantly fighting against each other for all this. How much time is being utilized in courts, which the courts can ill afford to spend because of the heavy docket and overcrowding of the courts. And mind you, please understand one more thing. Court processes take time. And some of these cases are short-lived in the sense they die out with passage of time. If 5 years are over, then disqualification is meaningless, etc., in some cases. So they have taken time on the court, and by the time it reaches 4 years have passed, or 3.5 years, 4.5 years have passed, and the whole thing goes waste. So it's completely wasteful in terms of expenditure, in terms of court time, in terms of the time politicians spend on elections and just wooing voters rather than working hard for the benefit of this country.
All right, Mr. Rohatgi, thanks very much for sharing your views. Let's see how this all works out. Thanks very much indeed.